So yeah, we are starting a new series here, which we've called "Change Your Life, Learn to Meditate." So we're focusing on this aspect of meditation that can kind of radically change your life. And this week, our theme is body awareness. So how can body awareness change your life? And I'll say a bit more about what body awareness is. So very simply, we're going to be doing the mindfulness of breathing practice. And it sounds like in the mindfulness of breathing that you are going to be focusing on your breath. And that's what we would say. But actually, that's not what we're doing. The only way we experience the breath is through the physical sensations of the body. And that's what body awareness is, attending to the direct physical sensations of the body. And this is absolutely intrinsic to mindfulness. It's not an accident that we choose the breath as a focus. It's very, very important, very significant, is body awareness. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about why it's significant. And in part, I'm thinking about myself here. I always found body awareness a rather boring prospect. Fair enough, in meditation, you kind of spend 20 minutes attending to your body, but then doing it through the day, going for mindful walks or whatever it is, it seemed intolerably boring. Until I realized that actually body awareness was what would help me live out what I really wanted to do in my life. That was the switch for me. And that's what body awareness can help us do. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So jumping back a bit, when I was 18, 19, I headed off to university. I ended up on a mechanical engineering degree in Sheffield. And I can tell you that I was a round peg in a square hole in that engineering institution. I'd really made a bad mistake. And it was kind of a shock. It was quite a surprise. Suddenly I found myself kind of sort of disconnected from what my life was about by the very decision that I'd made, the very conditions that I put myself in. It was quite uncomfortable. And really, in a way, what I learned from that was that I did have a purpose. I've got a particular shape, a particular purpose in my life. And that was not it. Quite uncomfortable way to sort of realize that. But often I think that is the way. I'll say a bit more about why that is. And kind of scanning forward, conversely, I've been working at the Cambridge Buddhist Centre 7 years now. There's a whole story in between that, but I can't cover that now. I find that here, when I'm working here, instead of sort of working against my sort of personal sense of purpose, it sort of draws it out of me, such that it's quite full on actually at times working at Buddhist Centre. It sounds like it won't be, doesn't it? It sounds like it'll all be nice and relaxed and lots of meditating, but believe me, it's not quite like that. It's quite demanding. But I experienced very, very little resistance actually to working here because of this coincidence of what's asked of me and my purpose. So actually, that is, I mean, can life get much better, when your work is what you love? And that is a possibility. Meditation has been intrinsic to that. So I just wanted to kind of chart out or contrast those two experiences of being divorced from your sense of purpose, your sense of meaning, being sort of round peg in a square hole, very uncomfortable experience, and we intrinsically want to live out our purpose. So here I am at the Buddhist Centre, so living happily ever after, job done. Well, not quite. I want to ask the question, kind of, why do we so easily go astray? Why do we so easily find ourselves sort of going astray from our purpose? Well, it's been very busy here. I took a week off. I found myself sort of thinking, gosh, why am I doing this? Why am I working at the centre? Now, isn't that interesting? Something that I love doing, but I sort of found myself thinking that. And what this is kind of pointing to is that actually no job can hold us to our purpose. Purpose is not actually just a job description. It's not an issue of career. It's a matter of the mind. Our purpose, our sense of purpose and meaning comes from the mind. And this is also why we so easily go astray, because in a way we've got two tendencies in our mind. One is a tendency to purpose, and another is a tendency to habit. So the habitual mode of mind is very, very pronounced. We sort of repeat ourselves, don't we, into the future. Have you noticed that? I'm sure you have, sort of how frequently we make the same mistakes over and over again. It's something that, if anything, you see more and more, becomes more and more apparent as you meditate, actually. Yeah, I've got a friend at the moment who's, he is just considering another move. He keeps doing this. He keeps kind of considering a move, and then he kind of steps back from it. He's kind of stuck in a sort of pattern of repeating himself, sort of uncomfortable to see, actually, because he's divorced from his sense of purpose. He's lost his sense of purpose. And it's because he hasn't seen what the habit of mind is. It's a habit of mind that's getting him to do that. So anyway, we sort of repeat ourselves into the future through our lives. And one very clear example of this when you meditate is our thought patterns. So when you sit down to meditate, close your eyes, you become aware of your mind, and all too frequently your thought patterns are just repeating. You can be stuck in a sort of argument with someone else. You can be thinking the same sort of thoughts, just repeating through and through. So there's a name for that sort of thinking in Buddhism, which is prapancha. This sort of repetitive, driven, sort of automatic thinking. And it's a manifestation of this tendency of mind, the habitual mind, to just repeat ourselves. What's happening is our thoughts are actually driven by underlying tendencies, the underlying tendencies of our mind. Consequently, they just go round in circles. Now, sometimes we think that those thoughts are quite valuable. We're just on the cusp of understanding something. And oftentimes, well, when it's prapancha, it's almost never valuable, actually. But this is the nature of mind. We've got kind of two modes of mind, or two tendencies in the mind. One is this sort of sense of purpose, this intrinsic sense of purpose and meaning, what our life is about. The other, this sort of habitual mind, this repetitive mind, this automatic thinking mind, prapancha. And what the reason why I'm talking about all this, coming back to body awareness, is that, well, prapancha is not going to help us get in contact with our purpose. Yeah. And that is what we intrinsically want to be when we're in contact with our purpose, a sense of us flourishing in our lives, a sense of us really doing what we want to, living up to what we can be. It's funny, actually, purpose, it sounds like thinking is going to help us with that. We'll be able to sort of project forward. But actually, we discover our purpose looking backwards. That is my experience and what I see in the lives of people around us. We discover our purpose looking backwards, looking back into our lives. We see the habitual mind, we see the mistakes we keep making. We also see where we were in touch with our sense of purpose, where our life was flourishing in particular activities, particular moments. So if we look back into our life, we can see these two tendencies of mind, the mistakes we kept making, and a sense of purpose. And that is true for our experience now. Really, our past, all the forces of our past are at play in the present. So this is the point about body awareness, that actually it's only in body awareness, it's only in coming more fully into our current experience that we can discover the mind that is at play now. Is it the habitual mind that is at play now, right now, or is it that we are in touch with this purposive possibility, this sense of a sense of purpose and meaning? So yeah, that's what I want to say. That actually prapancha, sort of our thinking often leads us astray. We think our thinking is going to help us discover our purpose. We can kind of project forward, where do I need to be going in my life? But often our thinking is it's led by habits. We're thinking the same things that we've always thought. It feels like new ideas, but actually it's driven by habits. What I see in my life and in the lives around me is that people discover their purpose by actually attending to their direct experience in their lives. Where is it right now that you are in touch with your purpose? It will be there. It will be there somewhere, even if it's just for a moment in a conversation, or if it's for a moment at work. We often gloss over these moments. We don't reflect on them. But what we're learning with body awareness is to turn towards those actual experiences. Those will not lead us astray. Our bodily experience is fact. It's direct experience. Our thought processes are explanation. And explanation is always sort of stretching some way beyond the facts, either wildly or just slightly. Explanation is more convincing, but actually direct experience is more reliable. So that's what I'm going to propose we actually do in the practice, and that is how body awareness can change your life. If we can cultivate this, you could say, positive habit of turning towards our bodily experience, we can notice what sort of mind is at play, and we can more quickly sort of discern where our purpose is. And also, when we're out of touch with it, it's uncomfortable to be out of touch with our purpose. We'll want to distract ourselves, watch TV, do anything but meditate, because it's uncomfortable being out of touch with our purpose. But if we do meditate, if we come into our bodily experience, we discover, are we in touch with our sense of purpose, or are we out of touch with it? So, yeah, we discover our sense of purpose by looking into direct experience, letting go of our desire to be able to explain everything, explain our lives, but coming back to direct experience. And if we set up a meditation practice, it will have this kind of, how to put it, sort of cumulative effect on our sense of direction in life. It's certainly been the case for me. Often we look for the big changes, the dramatic changes. Not that helpful to do that very often. Much better to come into your bodily experience and discover where in your life is there a sense of purpose, and then try and kind of amplify those conditions. So in the meditation practice, what we're going to be doing is the mindfulness of breathing, and we're going to really notice the difference between an idea and a direct experience. Sounds like it'd be really obvious, but it's not so obvious actually. We're so familiar with ideas about our experience, that we easily don't differentiate, easily don't notice that we're actually attending to an idea. So we're going to do that. And then the second thing is we're going to notice, if we can stay with our direct experience, notice how we can then start to discover what's happening in our mind. that our tendencies of mind start to reveal themselves when we attend to the direct experience of our body in a sustained way. It's a bit like our tendencies of mind kind of surrender themselves. They come out with their hands up and admit, okay, I was making you think that, but I'm just a tendency. It's a bit like that. We start to be able to see how our mind is creating these sort of propuntia, repetitive thoughts. So if you'd like now to get your cushions and jump on them, set yourself up for meditation. I'm going to lead us through a meditation practice. So if this is your first night with us, I'll just mention that we have got lead throughs of both meditations on our YouTube channel. So particularly with next week's meditation, you might want to have a look at that before the class. So when you're ready and comfortable, closing your eyes. And just becoming aware of whatever is happening in your awareness, reveals itself to your awareness. Can you feel the sort of buzz of your mind? Where is your mind awareness focused in the body? Is it in the head, the chest, the belly, the legs? Just noticing where it's most concentrated. And that is direct experience. Noticing in your experience how the bodily sensations, perhaps they coincide with where your mind is most present. So we're so familiar with this experience, but let's not sort of take it for granted. Let's just experience, as it were, for the first time, these physical sensations of the body. Wherever physical sensations are felt most vividly. So what parts of your body are those physical sensations most vivid? And then can you notice parts of your body where there isn't much sensation? So in those parts, notice how your mind sort of colours in the outline of your body. Well, that's not direct experience. That's something, that's a thought. In the direct sensation, it's a bit like parts of your body aren't there. Don't worry if you can't quite see that at the moment. We've got the whole meditation to see this. And now becoming aware of the sensations of the contact with the body and the ground. Notice how we can actually choose to become aware of those sensations. The body and the ground. So becoming aware now of sensations in your feet. And again, notice, you can see in my own mind, an image of foot. Well, that's not my direct bodily experience. That's a thought, an image. See if you can distinguish that from the direct physical experience. A sort of shimmering buzz of sensations. And that buzz of sensation it doesn't really have an outline. It's just a sort of a cloud of sensation. Just noticing that. And then becoming aware of any sensation in your shins and your calves. Sensation in your knees. Oddly, there's quite a lot of sensation in the knees, even though they're just bony and hard. Notice all the sensation. And then your thighs, fronts of the thighs. So what's the sort of quality of the sensation? Is it they're a bit dull and dead, like mine are at the moment, or quite relaxed and alive? Either which way, just resting your attention in the buzz of sensation that's arising right now in the thighs. And then your bottom on the cushion. And if your mind keep going off into thoughts, that's fine. Don't try and stop them. Don't stop your thoughts, just let them be there. And also come into the body. Experiencing the bottom on the cushion. And then having a sense of the torso lifting out of the base of the posture effortlessly. See if you can relax into the lift of your torso. And just tucking your chin in so that the crown of the head extends upwards, but make it relaxed. Relax into it so that your upright posture is easier than a slouched posture. And then can you notice the sensations arising from the movement in the torso, movement of breathing? So where is it you feel those sensations most vividly? It's going to be different in each moment, however subtly. And if the mind continues to go off, that's fine. That means we're becoming aware of our tendencies of mind. Just by attending to direct experience, tendencies of mind reveal themselves. So breathing with thoughts as they take you off. Okay, so now really, as we move into the meditation, looking at how you know you're breathing. How do you know right now that you're breathing? Not thinking about it, looking in your direct experience. Where are the sensations that tell you? So just see if you can stay with those sensations, direct sensations. Don't worry at all if your mind keeps going off. We've got the whole meditation to make some headway. And in this first stage, we count after the out breath. So the counting is just there to help you with continuity of awareness of those direct sensations. See if you can be continuously aware of 4 breaths and then go back to naught. Let's not worry about 10 for now. And when your mind goes off, that's fine. See what we've learned about the mind. Are we in prapancha? And standing in body awareness, coming back to direct sensation to start again. And then in the second stage, counting just before the in-breath. And just before we go in, notice if you have learned anything about the mind so far. If any of the tendencies at play have revealed themselves at all. even if you're not quite sure what it is. And then again, resting our awareness in the direct sensations of the body moving. In this way, we're training the mind to actually attend to direct sensation, learning how to do it. So don't worry about getting it wrong. Just see what you can learn. And as we move into the third stage, just broadening out, becoming aware of the whole body. Are you holding on anywhere, or are you slumping? If you're holding on, just see if you can relax the body a bit more. If you're slumping, see if you can bring more alertness into the mind and the posture to make a bit more effort. And then in the third stage, dropping the counting altogether. And attending to the body moving. Where in the body are those direct sensations felt most vividly? And see if you can notice the tendency to making up an idea of the breath. And focusing on that as opposed to focusing on the direct physical sensations in the body. Sometimes even feel a little bit scary to let go of ideas and come into direct physical sensation. but you'll be fine. And then in the last stage, choosing a point where you have a very fine experience of the breath, which means a very subtle physical sensation, can be the top lip, or the side of the nostril. And you might find that you're learning things about the body, certain tensions, and that might tell you something about the mind. The way we grip the body is the gripping with the mind. And now, as we come towards the end of the practice, dropping any effort that you're making and just sitting, absorbing the momentum of the practice. Really important that we do this, we don't just jump up off the cushions. This moment of no effort, absorbing the momentum of the practice. Taking stock of anything that we've learned about our minds in the process. It's these little learnings that keep us over time from going astray. Any sense of meaning and purpose through doing the practice. Anything you learned about the difference between idea and direct experience. So feel free to sit easy, emerge out of your meditation posture. So I hope you had a good sit. And we've got just a short section now for any questions or comments. Very interesting to hear how you got on with the meditation, anything you learnt, or any questions coming out about this area of the significance of body awareness. So if you've got any questions, do just write them in the chat box. I forgot to invite you to comment in the chat box at the beginning, but yeah, just if you've got any questions, comments, please do just note them in the chat box, and then they'll whiz down the internet lines and arrive here at the Cambridge Buddhist Centre, and I'll give you a brilliant answer. Or not.
Yeah, David's put in the chat box just to invite people to ask questions.
Oh yeah, great, thanks David.
I was trying to think of an analogy for, because I find it quite hard when you're thinking about thinking or not thinking, because I have a strong thinking habit.
Yeah, most do.
But I was just imagining then it being a bit like when you're on a train most of the time, sort of driven by habit that you're not even aware of, and then instead of getting in contact with your body, direct experience through your body, and it's like you get off at a station for a while, and just give yourself a little break, and then you can choose kind of what train you get back onto, and you might get back on the same one. You probably will most of the time, but it just feels like I don't know. I mean, I have a visual imagination, so I kind of like to see things like that. Yeah. Because otherwise, I find it hard to think. Well,
am I thinking?
Am I thinking?
Am I not thinking?
I'm thinking about my body, but am I aware of my thinking? I don't know. And it just gets into a sort of more thought-driven.
Yeah. Yes. No. I think that's very good. Yeah. It's a good image, isn't it? The old train, because you inhabit a train. And that's what it feels like with our thoughts, doesn't it? We sort of, it's not always that we stop to think. It's like thinking is happening, and we are living, through that thought sort of thing. So yeah, it's a very good.
David said, actually, could you summarise what I said, because it's not easy to hear.
Ah, yes. Well, Liz was saying something very, very interesting, which was that she finds identifying thoughts, and whether you're thinking, whether you're not thinking, not always that easy, and that she finds to relate to it in terms of an image, that you're on a train. Your thoughts are a bit like a train, being on a train, and what you're doing is you're stepping off that train. You get off at a certain station into direct experience. And it's likely that you'll get back on at some point, but momentarily you get off that sort of train of thought. We say a train of thought, don't we? So she says that she finds that way of thinking really, really helpful in terms of becoming more aware of that, relatively subtle. It can be more or less subtle, actually, can't it? Our thinking, but she finds that image really helpful, which I think is a very good analogy. As I was saying, partly because we do sort of inhabit, we inhabit a train, don't we? We're on a train, and similarly, we kind of inhabit our thoughts. It's not like we stop to think. It's actually thinking is happening, and we're sort of inhabiting that thought. So I think that's a very good analogy. Yep.
There's
no other questions
coming up through the chat box.
Aha, marvelous. Everything is clear. Great. Okay. Well, if there are no more questions, I I shall, in a moment, hand over to Vidyasaki, who's going to tell us a bit more about what's coming up. I was going to say, though, that if you can, see if you can meditate. We're going to be doing this series over about 5 weeks. See if you can meditate every day over this period. In a way, there's lots we can say about meditation, but there's nothing like doing it. I'm sure many of you know that already from your own experience. But this is a sort of encouragement, an invitation to sort of join us in this series and see if you can meditate every day. If that feels unrealistic, do it every 6 days. Give yourself a day off, free of guilt. Yippee! You might even enjoy that day more than the meditating day. Or 5 days. So see if you can do that. Sometimes some of the things that we're exploring in the class, the penny starts dropping. Days. Oh yeah, that thing that was said. Oh yeah, the body. The penny starts dropping kind of much later. So I'd invite you to join us for this series. Try and meditate every day. You might even do a breathing space, a 3-minute breathing space. I don't know if we've got a chance to do that before the end of the class. What do you think?
Yeah,
Vidyasaki thinks yes. So we could do that at the end of the class. But for now, I am going to hand you over to my friend and co-worker, Vidyasaki.
Hello. Yeah, good to see you. Well, actually, I can't see you. I can't even see me. So I hope that that Arthasiddhi has turned the screen round in a way that shows me. So thank you for coming this evening. My name's Vidyasaki, in case you haven't met me before. And yes, Arthasiddhi and I are going to be leading this series together. So next week, I will be talking about how self-awareness can change your life. So we've looked at body awareness this week. Next week, we're going to look at self-awareness. And this whole thing, this evening I was reflecting, a bit earlier this evening, I was reflecting on the fact that YouTube has actually become a very rich source of Buddhist teachings. There's all sorts of meditation classes and talks that you can access on YouTube, and I definitely encourage you to do that. And in a way, it's also very important to follow a coherent thread. So you've joined us this evening, and I think you would really benefit from sort of following through and coming to the classes that we'll be giving over the next few weeks. YouTube is like a whole mass of threads, isn't it? And meditation is a bit like that. Thinking is a bit like that. You can sort of proliferate in all sorts of different directions. But actually, if you want to go deeper, if you really want to engage fruitfully with the practice, find a thread and follow it. And this is a thread that you can follow with Arthasiddhi and myself. We're learning the ropes of YouTube. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the challenge of it. And I'm really enjoying the opportunity to meet new people on YouTube. And it would be lovely to know that you're there. And we could really do with some support. So if you would like to support us by making a donation, please do. We ask for a donation of say £5 for an evening like this, and I think Liz can put the donate the link to the donate button into the chat box now. This is part of a long sort of period of exploration to really get all of our teaching online. It's so important, isn't it? It's so grounding, And it's really the key to navigating these uncertain times that we live in. So please do help us out with some financial support if you can. And we have meditations on Mondays and Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock, so you could join me for those. And we are planning a retreat in August, so we'll probably be giving you more details about that next week. A real opportunity to practice together with us and really take your meditation deeper. But I'm going to hand. Oh yes, it's just Arthasiddhi is just reminding me that, of course, another thing that's really helpful is if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. So if you're not already subscribed, please do sign up, and that way we can update you. You'll be updated with things that are coming up on YouTube. And do visit our website, join our mailing list, and then we can send you info about the retreat and things like that. So good to see you. I'm going to turn the screen back to Arthasiddhi for a 3-minute breathing space.
We've actually had a question now.
We've got a question. Well, we've got 4 minutes.
So, we've had some lovely comments in the chat.
Oh, good.
I'll read those to you later. But Rachel says, are some feelings in the body that relate to emotions different to direct experience?
Right. Yeah. Some feelings in the body that relate to emotions different from direct experience. Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Yeah, I mean, if it's, I suppose, yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? We've got, I suppose, I may not be entirely sure what you're experiencing there. So I don't, in a way, want to suggest something. Probably the best answer is to sort of explore it. But yeah, it can be really interesting how our physical experience and our emotional experience are very, very, they sort of coincide, they come very close. So you can have a sort of physical tension in the body, and as you go into that, you realize it's emotional. So the mind and the body actually, I don't, as far as Buddhism says, there is no clear line between the two. It's just a way of talking. So I suppose what we're trying to make a distinction between is kind of where we're sort of adding something on, like a thought about, rather than approaching it from direct physical sensations. So in a way, I feel like I haven't quite answered your question, have I? Yeah. So maybe in a certain way, I don't know the answer. I'd encourage you to kind of to look at it. I suppose in my experience, what I become aware of is that the two are sort of so closely related that they're sort of interrelated, but they are both a direct experience. I guess emotions sort of happen somehow in the body and somehow in the mind, don't they? But anyway, so that's a rather rambly question. I think it's important that we can. I think there is a distinction, isn't there, between emotion and physical sensation. I think the more we bring awareness into that, we'll see that there's two components in that experience of emotion, but there is a physical as distinct from a sort of mental element to it. But I'd encourage you to explore it. I think it's a really good question to be asking. Anyway, sorry, longer answer than intended, but I hope that was helpful. Let's just sit just in the last few seconds. So if you just want to close your eyes, doesn't matter how you're sitting, just sit as you are. Close your eyes and become aware of your broad physical experience. As broad as you can, your whole body. Just feeling the whole buzz of bodily sensation and the mind in the body. And then in the breathing space, we're going to follow the breath, 3 breaths. So we're going to follow the sensations of breathing, breathing in and breathing out. And breathing in your own time, 3 breaths. And when you've done 3 breaths, you come back to the broad experience of the body, noticing if that's had any effect on your mind and your experience of the body, and broadening out even further to the sounds around you. Smells, any visual inputs coming in through the eyelids. And then when you're ready, just closing your eye, opening your eyes, sorry. Opening your eyes. So there we are. A sort of 2.5 minutes breathing space. So you might want to be doing breathing spaces, 1, even 2 breathing spaces through the day, just bringing you back to direct experience, and see over time what you learn about your mind, and when you're in touch with a deeper sense of purpose. Anyway, lovely to have you all with us here at Meditation Night. Thanks very much for coming. It's been a pleasure to spend this time with you, and we will see you again next week. Well, if you come, we'll be here. So yeah, hope to see you again next week, and have a very good week. Okay, bye from us.
Bye.